Most High forgive their faults. May the Most High expand their virtues. And may they come back with countless of other Africans. May they return to their African ancestors whose lives were also taken prematurely to aid us in the cause of African redemption. I'm going to be careful with my words this morning because I don't want Facebook and Instagram cutting my live off. And I don't need the FBI at my front door, although I'm sure they're watching everything that I do. I'm not going to keep you guys long, but I want to offer some preliminary thoughts on this situation. And then I will offer some more comprehensive thoughts on this situation as more information becomes available. First of all, if this incident yesterday did not wake up all black people in this country, on this North American continent, to the realization that we are at war, I don't know what else will. If the Buffalo Race Massacre, if the Buffalo, New York Race Massacre did not wake you up to the realization that we are at war as a people in this country, I don't know what else could. A couple of points. I want to say this one right from the beginning because this has been a concern of mine since the last white boy decided to conduct a race massacre. The Charleston, South Carolina race massacre of June 17th, 2015. The Charleston, South Carolina race massacre of June 17th, 2015. Yesterday's Buffalo, New York race massacre was only 35 days short of the 7th anniversary of the Charleston race massacre. Let me say that again. Yesterday's Buffalo, New York race massacre was only 35 days short of the 7-year anniversary of the Charleston, South Carolina race massacre of June 17th, 2015. Number one, I've said this over and over again. I've been saying it since the Charleston race massacre of 2015. Black people are so colorblind, so apolitical, so in love with integration that we fail to secure ourselves in our places and in our persons. What I am saying, and I need you to understand, overstand, and understand me. What I am saying, and I want you to understand, overstand, and understand me. No non-African should be able to come in African space and not be questioned about their purpose. No non-African, I don't care if it's European, I don't care if it's Latino, I don't care if it's Arab, East Indian, Native American, no non-African should be allowed to come into African space and not be questioned as to their purpose for being there. You've heard me say 1,000,000 times over, African people cannot go into the space of another culture and not be rejected or at least questioned. In fact, most of us would not dare go anyway because we know we're not wanted. The Charleston race massacre of 2015, and our heart goes out to the Reverend Pinckney, Clemente Pinckney, and all the others, and the 6 mothers who died in the Charleston race massacre. Our heart goes out to the Charleston, South Carolina community. I know we're still grieving from that loss almost 7 years later. But what hurts me the most about Charleston is it was totally avoidable. Charleston was totally avoidable. The problem with Charleston and the problem with us as a people is we allow non-Africans to walk amongst us and we offer no questions. We offer no questions. For those of us who are holding events, for those of us who have organizations, for those of us who belong to churches, fraternities, sororities, professional organizations, when somebody shows up who don't look like you, somebody, security, hospitality, somebody, it should automatically consider it their responsibility to police the non-Africans who come amongst us. Can you step outside for a minute? Because you're not a member of the community, I need to see your photo ID. We need to take a picture of your photo ID because you're not a member of this community. But, no buts. You're not a member of this community. We cannot deny you access because we receive government funding. We cannot deny you access because we're still on the government's breast. The same government we claim don't love us, we're constantly begging them for funding. The same government we claim don't love us, we're constantly begging them for funding. So we can't turn you away. We will lose our funding if we turn you away because we're not independent. We don't do things the way Garvey did them. We don't do things the way Ifa Tunde does them. We believe in government subsidy. So we can't turn you away. But we need to see photo ID, and we have to take a picture of your photo ID. If you cannot let us know who you are, you have to leave here because we are not familiar with you. All the black people, we're familiar with them. We're not familiar with you. You're a stranger to this organization. We need to see your photo ID or we have to ask you to leave. What's so hard about that? What is so hard about that? What is so hard about asking to see photo ID of the non-Africans who come into your spaces? Being colorblind is going to get more black people killed. Being pathologically integrationist to the point of insanity. Being pathologically integrationist to the point of insanity is going to get more black people murdered. I've had this conversation with security at so many events that I've attended. I've had this conversation with security at so many events that I've attended. Who was that white man sitting at the back of my lecture? Who was that Mexican sitting at the back of my lecture? We don't know. What do you mean we don't know? This is a political event where controversial content will be discussed. This is a political event where controversial topics will be discussed. And you're telling me that you were so irresponsible in your security responsibility that you let a non-African come amongst us. You didn't search him, you didn't question him, and you didn't ask him for ID. Black America, the colorblind days are over. Black America, the colorblind days are over. We're not asking you to hate nobody. We're not asking you to hurt nobody. We're not asking you to hate. We're not asking you to hurt. We're asking you to be so concerned about African life. We're asking you to hold African life so dear and so sacred that when someone who doesn't look like us comes amongst us, they are pulled to the side and questioned as to their intent